Xin mời tất cả quý vị khán khách chúng ta cùng đứng dậy và chuẩn bị dành một tràng pháo tay thật lớn và thật dài để chào đón vị khách quý của chúng ta, giáo sư Klaus Schwab và đoàn đại biểu thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to welcome our distinguished guest of honor, Professor Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the delegation from Ho Chi Minh City leaders. Một tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào đón vị khách mời danh dự và đoàn đại biểu thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Kính thưa quý vị. Thank you so much. Xin cảm ơn quý vị và xin mời quý vị chúng ta cùng an toàn. Thank you so much.
tôi sinh ra từ đây. Ôi à, từng câu dân ca dù tôi vào giấc ngủ say. Yêu nhau cởi áo cho nhau, về nhà mẹ hỏi ôi à, qua cầu số bay. Nước xanh ôi là nước trong xanh, vô tình là con cá lặn ở cái duyên có ai ru hơi, lời ru cho tôi lớn lên. Màu đỏ rạng vàng, tôi là người Việt Nam. Biển trời hôm nay xuân về trong Bắc Nam. Việt Nam trong tôi là ngàn khúc dân ca, nơi tôi sinh ra tự hào biết mấy. Máu đỏ da vàng, tôi là người Việt Nam. Dù đi nước châu cho dù về nơi đâu, trong trái tim này cùng hát chung câu Việt Nam. Việt Nam quê hương ta đẹp lắm, mặc lửa khói dậy reo tháng năm. Người Việt Nam ra nước mắt đen, thao thức bất khuất như cành sen. Việt Nam ơi quê hương ta ơi, biển lúa chín vàng thơm ngát trời. Vòng tiếng ai hò vì nhớ con đò ai. Dậy với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vòng Việt Nam. Nhìn nơi sông trời vẫn đất vang. Cùng với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vòng Việt Nam. Khởi nguyên mi quyền sống ra Việt Nam. Dậy với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vòng Việt Nam. Nhìn non sông trời vẫn đất vang. Cùng với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vòng Việt Nam. Khởi nguyên mi quyền sống ra Việt Nam. Dậy với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vòng Việt Nam. Nhìn non sông trời vẫn đất vang. Cùng với tôi nào, dạo với tôi nào, dạo khắp một vùng Việt Nam. Khởi nguyên mi quyền trao ra Việt Nam. Khởi nguyên mi quyền trao ra Việt Nam.
Another round of applause for our student from Hoa Sen University, ladies and gentlemen. Great performance, contemporary arts performance with Vietnamese traditional culture. Thank you so much. Well, a wonderful performance from all beloved students from Hoa Sen University would be a strong welcome message to everyone. Good morning and welcome to a special event this morning. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to a very inspiring talk show and conversation with our distinguished guest of honor, Professor Klaus Schwab and his family, and this morning. And my name is Quốc Khánh. It's my honor to welcome everyone on behalf of the organizing committee, Hoa Sen University. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us here this morning on a beautiful Sunday. As you know, we are living in the world of globalization, the era of information, with new development of technology and the way how information flows around. That's why lifelong learning and knowledge would be the ultimate power for nation to thrive. And we believe that the knowledge economy would be the main driving force for sustainable development for many, many countries. In that economy, human capital, especially the young generation, are playing a very, very important role in shaping our future. So, in collaboration with the prestigious World Economic Forum, Ho Chi Minh City is so proud to present here today an inspiring talk show featuring our special guest, Professor Klaus Schwab. We're going to discuss the main theme today. Young generation to be a better leader for tomorrow. Such a great privilege for Ho Chi Minh City and Vietnam to welcome Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder and chairman of World Economic Forum today. He is such a remarkable figure of a knowledge economy, and throughout his life, he has made so much great contribution to the world knowledge. He achieved the title of the youngest professor at the age of 31 in Switzerland long time ago. And throughout his life, he has made great contribution to the world development with his groundbreaking works of the Global Competitiveness Report. He achieved the prize of Dan Davis Prize in the field of leadership. And of course, you all know, he created the famous World Economic Forum, where top leaders get together every year discussing the most important topics that shape our world today. So it's our really great appreciation and gratefulness to welcome him today. So one more time, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Professor Klaus Schwab and his family. Thank you so much for coming to Vietnam. Thank you. And from Ho Chi Minh City delegation, we would like to introduce and welcome member of the Party Central Committee, Deputy Secretary of Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee, Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee, His Excellency Mr. Phan Văn Mãi. Please welcome member of Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee, Vice Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee, His Excellency Mr. Võ Văn Hoang. Please join me to welcome member of Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee, Director General of Ho Chi Minh City Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Trần Phước Anh. From Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City, please welcome Consul General of Switzerland in Ho Chi Minh City and his spouse, Mr. Werner Baudin. And from the co-organizer of the talk show today, please welcome the chairman of Nguyễn Hoàng Group, Mr. Hoàng Quốc Việt. Please welcome Secretary of the Party Committee and President of Hoa Sen University, Associate Professor Dr. Võ Thị Ngọc Thúy. And also we are welcoming leaders of Ho Chi Minh City departments and agencies, Ho Chi Minh City Advisory Council for the implementation of Resolution number 98, founding enterprises of the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution in Ho Chi Minh City, representative of the universities, business associations, entrepreneurs, young leaders, innovative startups, press, and all lecturers and students from all over the city come here today. Thank you so much. And of course, the success of the event today would not be possible without the great support from the organizing committee and the sole partner for this talk show, Hoa Sen University. Everybody from the leadership team, faculty and staff and student have played a very, very important role of making this happen. So thank you, and big round of applause to Hoa Sen University. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and now we would like to respectfully invite on stage member of the Party Central Committee, Deputy Secretary of Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee, Chairman of the People's Committee, for a welcome remark, Mr. Phan Văn Mãi, ladies and gentlemen.
Kính thưa giáo sư Klaus Schwab, phu nhân và đoàn, kính thưa các trí thức, các doanh nhân, thầy cô giáo, quý đại biểu, thưa các bạn sinh viên thân mến. Trước hết, thay mặt cho lãnh đạo thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, tôi xin nhiệt liệt chào mừng và trân trọng cảm ơn sự hiện diện của giáo sư Klaus Schwab, phu nhân và đoàn đến với thành phố Hồ Chí Minh và dành thời gian có mặt trong buổi đối thoại sáng hôm nay. Kính thưa tất cả quý vị, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh chúng tôi đang tái cấu trúc, chuyển đổi nền kinh tế trên cơ sở phát huy yếu tố khoa học công nghệ, đổi mới sáng tạo, kinh tế tri thức. Cho nên chúng tôi xác định chủ đề đối thoại sáng nay rất là thiết thực, không chỉ đối với các nhà trí thức, các doanh nhân, các bạn sinh viên, mà sẽ rất là hữu ích cho thành phố Hồ Chí Minh vì hai lẽ. Lẽ thứ nhất, từ cuộc đối thoại này sẽ gợi ý cho thành phố những định hướng đúng, những giải pháp đúng. Thứ hai là những người trực tiếp tham gia đối thoại, trò chuyện với giáo sư sáng nay cũng chính là những người sẽ đóng góp trực tiếp cho xây dựng và phát triển thành phố. Tôi hôm qua trong buổi làm việc với giáo sư, chúng tôi đã khẳng định thành phố Hồ Chí Minh cũng như Việt Nam mong muốn tiếp tục hợp tác với Diễn đàn Kinh tế Thế giới thông qua thúc đẩy đưa hoạt động của Trung tâm Cách mạng Công nghiệp 4.0 vừa thành lập hoạt động có hiệu quả để làm sao thành phố Hồ Chí Minh sẽ là thành phố toàn cầu, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh sẽ là thành phố học tập, thành phố Hồ Chí Minh sẽ là trung tâm đổi mới sáng tạo của vùng Đông Nam Á và châu lục. Với một cái định hướng như thế, chúng tôi rất mong muốn được tiếp tục hợp tác với Diễn đàn Kinh tế Thế giới, với giáo sư Klaus Schwab. Chúng tôi rất mong muốn có sự tham gia của cộng đồng doanh nghiệp, trí thức Việt Nam, thành phố, của các bạn sinh viên để hành trình đi đến mục tiêu này của chúng ta được nhanh hơn và đạt được kết quả to lớn hơn. Tôi xin lần nữa cảm ơn giáo sư, cảm ơn tất cả quý vị đã có mặt ở đây. Xin chúc cho buổi nói chuyện sáng hôm nay sẽ thành công tốt đẹp. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Well, thank you, member of the Party Central Committee, Deputy Secretary of Ho Chi Minh City Party Committee and Chairman of the People's Committee, His Excellency Phan Văn Mãi, for the remarkable welcoming message. But before we hearing from Professor Klaus Schwab, let's take a moment to learn more about his extraordinary contribution to the world. Here comes a video highlighting his leadership journey at the World Economic Forum and his pivotal role in shaping the global economy.
A new era has opened. Knowledge is the key. Creativity is motivation. Technology is wings. Not only depends on resources, every step is towards the future. A pioneering mindset about the era of knowledge economy. Discover global inspiration about intelligence and innovation. Introducing Professor Klaus Schwab. In 1971, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. More than 800 employees in Geneva, New York, Beijing, and Tokyo. Since 1998, co-founder of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, supporting thousands of social entrepreneurs. 2004, founded the Forum of Young Global Leaders, trained more than 1,000 outstanding young global leaders. 2011, founded Global Shapers Community, more than 450 Global Shapers hubs worldwide. 2 doctorates, ETH Zurich and University of Freiburg, masters from Harvard. Honorary professor at the University of Geneva, Peking University, Ben Gurion University, and more. Global citizen, over 20 national honors and awards. Author of the 4th Industrial Revolution, translated into 30 languages. Over 50 years of shaping global cooperation and innovation. Leading towards a better global future. Value of knowledge. Power of information. Creativity and innovation. Expertise and skills. Everything will be shared. Are you ready? Knowledge economy. A foundation for the prosperous future and action of the youth.
Thank you so much. Such a wonderful message from Professor Klaus Schwab. We are all inspired by his leadership and vision. And today is such a great opportunity to have a direct conversation with him. And we're gonna invite a representative from Ho Chi Minh City. They are young leaders from innovative startup, scientists, researcher, representative from the young talents as well. We'll have a lot of questions for him. We hope to inspire the young generation of Vietnam to become better leaders for tomorrow. And of course, if possible, we're going to take questions from the audience as well. So this session is the main session of this event this morning. Inspiring talk show with the main theme, knowledge economy, foundation for a prosperous future, and what kind of action that the young generation should take to be better leaders for tomorrow. In this world of constant change, we would like to invite the following people to come on stage to have a conversation with our distinguished guest of honor, Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to invite the following distinguished delegate on stage for this engaging discussion. Please welcome the CEO of Zalopay, Ms. Lê Lan Chi. Please welcome curator for the Global Shapers Ho Chi Minh City Hub, Ms. Long Hải Yến. Please welcome MBA pursuer at Hoa Sen University, Mr. Nguyễn Hoàng Quang Vinh. Next, please welcome Director of the Research Center for Infectious Disease at VNU Ho Chi Minh City, Associate Professor Dr. Nguyễn Phương Thảo. Xin một tràng vỗ tay ạ. Please welcome Board Director of Institute of International Education, Hoa Sen University, Mr. Phú Trường Thắng. Please welcome founder and CEO Cocovi, Ms. Hoàng Thanh Thúy. Xin một tràng vỗ tay để chào đón các vị đại diện của chúng ta sẽ lên trao đổi cùng với giáo sư Klaus Schwab. Please welcome outstanding young citizen of Ho Chi Minh City in 2018, CEO and co-founder of Edu2 Review and EduWing Global, Mr. Hồ Đức Hoàng. And now please welcome Deputy General Director of Sales at Đồng Tâm Group, Mr. Võ Quốc Huy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to welcome our distinguished guest of honor, Professor Klaus Schwab. Ladies and gentlemen, founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum. Thank you. Please take your seat. Thank you. Take your seat, please. So I guess I'll get started first. Just a welcoming, and then everyone can start asking questions for Professor. Okay. We would like to First of all, thank you so much for coming to Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you. And Vietnam, thank you so much. And on this topic, knowledge economy, a foundation for a prosperous future, and what kind of action the young generation have to take, we would like to hear from your perspective first. Please.
Thank you very much. And first, Chairman Mai, distinguished representatives of Ho Chi Minh City, I'm so happy to be here because I feel the spirit of innovation which really you can only have here, probably in a university and in a university setting, together with young people. Special greetings to our global shapers here. And yeah, bravo. No, and thank you for the great introduction and for the cultural performance. And a special thanks also to the organizing committee. I have prepared and I put quite some time into it because usually I never prepare long speeches, but I have prepared a long speech which I will not use because I feel so animated by the people here. So, but of course, the speech is available in a printed version, and the speech puts together all the policies which Vietnam at the moment is following in order to create a innovation ecosystem, in order to create the necessary human capital which we need for tomorrow, to create the necessary infrastructure, particularly in the digital area. But let me forget the speech for a moment, and let me come back to the World Economic Forum. Why is the World Economic Forum important today, and why are we so proud to have such a great cooperation with Vietnam and with Ho Chi Minh City in particular? First, I think if I make an analysis of the world today, we see the tensions in the global system. And we see the transition from what I would call a unipolar world to a multipolar world, where countries like Vietnam will be very important actors. In 20 to 30 years, certainly Vietnam will be one of the 40 most important economic powers in the world. It will certainly surprise the world by its innovative capacity. If you look at the young people, the average age, I think, is only 32 years. So it's a vibrant atmosphere you feel here. So the World Economic Forum in this world of tension can be an informal, independent, impartial platform for global cooperation. And that's actually what we need, because with the tensions we have today in the world, the formalized platforms, the usual platforms, have more and more difficulties to function well. But the second reason why the World Economic Forum is in existence is the belief that the big challenges in the world can only be solved by what I call multi-stakeholder cooperation, which means if you look at the environment, if you look at technological development and so on, it always needs a cooperation between government, private sector, and civil society. And that's what we are doing. We integrate all those what we call stakeholders into the initiatives which the forum at the moment is managing. And here, I should add, when we talk about stakeholders of global society, we have to make sure that we integrate the young generation much more into global decision-making. Because it's the young generation which will inherit from us the world which we shape at the moment, but the young generation should co-shape. And that's the reason why we have created, you have seen, the young global leaders. Those are leaders between 30 and 40 years old, and the shapers. And I'm very proud that we have shapers communities here in Vietnam, and particularly one in Ho Chi Minh City. And those who do not know about the global shapers, we feel what is very important is the combination in whatever we do between a global perspective and a regional perspective. So we ask from each global shapers community to do one initiative, to undertake one initiative in the community which is of a social nature. That's the condition to be accepted in our system of global hubs. Now, the third reason why the forum can make a special contribution, today in the world, political, economic, social, environmental, and technological issues are all intertwined. You cannot address one of those issues without looking at the impact, at the interconnectivity with the whole system. So we need system thinking in the world today. And finally, I think it was mentioned several times, we have to be forward-looking. If I look at the world today, it's so much characterized by crisis management. People are absorbed by what's happening short-term. But the world is changing, and technology is the main driver of this change. And we have seen the reference to the fourth industrial revolution, and actually in 2016, I wrote a book on, and I coined this notion of the fourth industrial revolution, and making the world aware how the new technologies like quantum computing, artificial intelligence, so on, will reshape the world. It will lead actually to I would say, to a merger of our physical, of our digital, and of our biological worlds. I think that's a big, how shall I say, innovation, or the big breakthrough which we have, that we have this fusion of those three different dimensions: physical, digital, and biological. Now, of course, the book was a success, and people came back to me, the editors, and said, why don't you write now with artificial intelligence a new edition? And I'm a big believer in artificial intelligence that I use. By the way, my speech, which I have here, I have written mainly also with the help of ChatGPT. But when I look at what's happening now, it's not just the fourth industrial revolution, it's more. It's like when, just go back maybe 200 years, when the world transitioned from the agricultural society to the industrial society. It's completely different. The industrial society has nothing, I mean, we still have agricultural societies, that's important, but the agricultural society has also been industrialized in the meantime. And now, it's not the fifth. I was thinking about, if I would rewrite the book, I was thinking, should I call it the fifth industrial revolution, or what should I call it? Should I call it the knowledge revolution? But then I came to the conclusion, I should call it the intelligent age. Now, we speak about the knowledge economy, and we speak about the digital economy. I prefer now even to go one step beyond and to speak about the intelligent economy. Just digital, of course, is like the infrastructure. It's the bloodstream of our economy, and built on the digital infrastructure, you can build much more knowledge. And knowledge is mainly data. But if you add artificial intelligence, then you create an intelligent economy. And this intelligent economy, or the intelligent age, will be similar or transitioning from the present industrial age to the intelligent age will be similar to the transition from the agricultural to the industrial age. It will revolutionize how we live, how we work, how we communicate, and so on. So, this is, how shall I say, my deep belief that the world will be, in the next years, very much characterized by a race. Who will lead this transition into the intelligent economy? And the intelligent economy does not completely replace, let's say, the agricultural, the industrial, or the service sector. No, it will not replace, but it will revolutionize even those sectors. Just take the agricultural sector. The World Economic Forum, for example, has a fourth industrial revolution center in Mumbai, where we look particularly at the application of artificial intelligence in agriculture. And with artificial intelligence, you can increase agricultural productivity in very substantial ways. If you look at industry, artificial intelligence will allow us to do smart production, and I'm very much impressed by Vietnam, how it doesn't just try to attract production, but to move already to the next stage, to combine, because if we take the normal, let's say, production processes, they will be outdated. If they are combined with artificial intelligence, then they will be competitive. So what I want to say is artificial intelligence has an impact on agriculture, has an impact on industry, has an impact on services. Many of the services which you know today will be, I would say, enhanced. I wouldn't say replaced, but enhanced by artificial intelligence. Now and of course, artificial intelligence will create new jobs, maybe new areas which we do not know yet of. And you could say, when Gutenberg invented the printing technology, it was followed afterwards in Europe by a renaissance, by a new, innovative, creative period, particularly in the cultural areas. Maybe with the artificial intelligence, we create also the means for a new creative, a new satisfying, because it develops our personal capabilities. It gives an impetus into what we can do in creative ways, not just in economics or in technology, but also in culture. So I'm very optimistic about the world of tomorrow. We have, in the intelligent age, we have the capability to address all the problems. Just look at the capability which we have in the health system. We can provide the best health services to everybody in villages far away. It shrinks distances. Or if you look at education, today, in order to have the best education, you have to go to the best universities, like here. But actually, with the technology which is now developing, you can provide interactive, best educational opportunities to everyone, everywhere, to everyone, everywhere. Now, what is the driver of this new world, which I would say is a positive world? It's a promising world. What is the driver? It's the young generation. And if I say young generation, I don't mean young in age. I mean young in spirit. Young in spirit. It's innovation. Now, what is the source of innovation? And what keeps me young? It's curiosity. The world is fantastic. And it's developing so fast. So you have to be curious about what's happening. And when you are curious about what's happening, you want to engage. And when you want to engage, you want to engage positively. I think that's the whole, you want to construct what's happening. The world of tomorrow, when I meet so many pessimistic people in the world, let me ask you a question. If you look at the next generation, and I ask the whole public, if you look at the next generation, do you think the next generation will be better off or worse off? Let me start with who feels the next generation will be better off. Let me see. Please, hands. And who feels the next generation will be worse off? I'm so proud of you. Because the world is so full of pessimism, and I have to say, when I ask this question in Europe or in the United States, usually it's half-half. But here I'm very encouraged by the result I have seen. Now, so what does it mean also for the young generation, except to stay curious about what's happening, to engage and to be constructive, to build the world. I repeat, it's not happening. We are building the world of the future. We are building. And the second element I want to stress here maybe is leadership. Let me first, as a second element, take something else. It's lifelong learning. I think if I look where will artificial intelligence have the biggest impact, it's probably in the health system, it's in the educational system, and to a certain extent in the agricultural system, and of course, in the manufacturing. Now, if I look at education, I think universities play a role. They are the center for fundamental research. They are the center for innovation. But in the dissemination, I think we will go into a system where everybody of us has to learn, not knowledge, but has to learn how to get to knowledge. I think there's a big difference because our traditional systems are built on how do I feed the young people with as much knowledge as possible. The new systems probably will be much more built on how do I create young people who know best to have access to knowledge, to have access to knowledge. I mean, look just at ChatGPT or other new artificial intelligence tools. They provide you access to all the knowledge you want to have. I was very surprised, by the way, when I wrote my speech for here. I wanted to do well, so I put in quite some efforts, and so I wrote it several times. So I went back to ChatGPT several times, and then I was surprised to find my old thinking replicated in the response of ChatGPT. So you see, you create an increased base of knowledge which we should use as much as possible in our daily lives. Now, to leave as much time as possible for discussion, let me share with you as a message to the young generation, my concept of leadership. I have met, as you have seen, I would say every leader in the world in the last 30, 40, 50 years. And of course, as a professor, I was teaching leadership and I had to read tons of books about leadership. But actually, it comes down to a very simple concept. And I use a metaphor which is very much anchored in describing our human existence. For me, leadership is soul, brain, heart, muscles, and nerves. And you may ask, what does it mean? It's strange to use anatomy to describe leadership. But as I said, it's a metaphor. The soul stands for mission. I think you have to know what your direction is. There are practically two categories of people. There are the people who have a built-in compass, which shows them the way, and let's say the compass is based on that you have values which provide you with the direction, or you have a vision, or you have a mission which you want to accomplish. The mission of the World Economic Forum, which was driving me, was improving the state of the world. So, and such a, let's say, the soul, the compass, in a world today where you have such a lot of uncertainty, and you want to be a leader, and you want that people follow you. People who follow you have to know what your direction is. Only when they know what your values is, what drives you, they will have confidence in you and trust in you. The second is the brain. Now, of course, if you want to be a leader, you have to be a professional. You have to know what you are doing. But there's one big change which has happened in the last years. In the past, we said you have to know as much as possible in a deep way, in a vertical way. Today, you have to know as much as possible about the system inside which you operate. If you are, for example, and I'm here, let's say, joined by corporate leaders, you have to know what's happening, not just in your company or in your sector, you have to know what's happening in the system. Because suddenly someone will change the system, and You who felt very isolated and very strong in your own area, but one small system change may have tremendous repercussions on everybody who is inside the system. Just look, I would say, electrical cars with Tesla or the whole system. Elon Musk, he changed the whole system. And it was a surprise for all the other automobile manufacturers. So you need direction, you need brain, but brain in terms of a systems knowledge and systems approach. And you need the heart, you need passion. I would like to ask everybody of you, are you passionate about what you're doing? Yeah? That provides you with the energy. That provides you with the energy. It's a driver. When I was professor, and I usually was teaching in the last study year, so students came to me and said, Professor, what should I do? Should I go into industry, into banking, and so on? I said, that's not the right question. You have to ask you, what are you passionate about? And then you will succeed. If you are not passionate about something, you will fail. And then you have the muscles. What does the muscles stand for? They stand for your capability to translate your vision into action. But today, particularly in the business community, to achieve results is not enough. You have to achieve impact. And let me use this opportunity to speak very shortly about what I call stakeholder responsibility, stakeholder capitalism. The reason why I founded the World Economic Forum when I was a young professor was I had written a book, and in the book I defined what is called today stakeholder capitalism, which means that as a business, you do not have only to serve your shareholders. Of course, economic success is important, also from a society point of view, because it creates prosperity. But it's not enough. You have to be aware that many other people depend on your company. They are stakeholders of your company. So you have to serve society, you have to serve your employees in the same way as you serve also your shareholders. Now, I come back to this notion of muscles and having results. The results means also to have a positive impact on society. And of course, I should add on environment. And finally, you have the nerves. Today, the world is so fast and is so full of uncertainty, of complexity. So you can survive only if you have great resilience, because we all have to deal with uncertainty. But the best let's say, recipe is to have your soul, your heart, your direction. So even if you make a mistake, and to make a mistake is part, or should be part, or can be part of everybody's life, but then you know still in which direction you go, and you just come back into your path. So and maybe there's something else today also related to resilience. It's not only uncertainty, it's not only complexity, it's also, if you look at, particularly at social media, it's adversity. When you are a leader, of course, you are criticized, but very often you are criticized in unfair ways. And that you have to absorb, and you have to live with it, to believe in your mission and just to go ahead. So let me stop here, but I just repeat, may have been a little bit complex, but leadership, don't forget soul, brain, heart, muscles, and good nerves. And when I meet people, I always ask myself, does he have the soul? Does he have, most have brains, that I have to say, but does he have heart? And I should add one factor, heart, passion is not enough. Today you also have to have compassion. You should not be only concerned with yourself when you are a leader. If you really want your followers to trust you, to follow you, you have to take care of them. So it's passion and it's compassion. You have to show also compassion. So let's have a discussion.
Thank you. Thank you one more time for Professor Klaus Schwab. I believe you already answered a lot of questions from them, but still, they have more questions for you. Of course, I would like to, anyone want to go first, or I will call your name? Okay, anh Thắng, right? Yeah, all right. Anh Thắng from Hoa-Sen University.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you introduce a little bit about yourself very quickly, and then your question for Professor Schwab. Yeah.
Good morning, distinguished guests, professor, and everyone here, especially the people who joined to this very beautiful talk show today. My name is Thang. I'm a board director of Hoa-Sen University's institutions of international education. I have only one thing to discuss with you regarding to the knowledge economy with 3 questions. Okay, so as you know that Ho Chi Minh City is nowadays we growing very quickly to become a hub, the global hub for trade, investment, etc. As the educational institutions, we also align with the visions. We would like to bring more opportunity for our students to, go with globally. And come to my questions. You know that we try to, organize so many opportunity and activities for our students, like student exchange, international field trips, and recently we also organized a trip. We call it Hoa-Sen Go Global for the first student to go abroad before the new academic year starting. Based on that, from your insights, could you please share with me, how our, similar to our university, like institutions, can prepare for our students to become a key players in their knowledge economies? And my second question is, especially for the current students, the future student, and also for the alumni as well, because the alumni, they already graduate for a long time ago. How do we, give them more skill, upskilling, or any activity to, let them to align with the development of the new era? And my last questions, as you are the leaders of the World Economic Forums, do you have any offer or recommendation to have it to achieve it? Thank you.
Thank you for those very relevant questions. I maybe put them in a little bit into a broader context. I think today, despite all the tensions which we have in the world, but we will still have a world which will become much more interdependent, which will grow together. So for every student, it's important not only to excel in what he's learning in his local university, but to put out the feelers into the world. And I think there are many, many ways to do so. Of course, learning foreign languages, traveling, going abroad, and for universities it's very important, and I have seen, I think this is the case here, to develop also links with other universities and to foster exchange programs. I was looking at the monument and I saw that the city of Ho Chi Minh, I think, is interconnected now with over 50 cities in the world. So my message would be, try to be a good national citizen, but try to be also, even if it's not very fashionable sometimes, try to be a good global citizen. And I think it's very important if you are a student to read the leading international papers, to keep up with what's internationally happening, not just nationally happening. I mean, I was thinking, I have to tell you a story. It was mentioned that I have 2 doctorates. I have one in economics and one in mechanical engineering. And it actually came up, I wanted to study economics, and I think economics is very good. But my father told me, look, economics you can read every day, you can read Financial Times, and then you know enough about economics. Why don't you study something much more substantial, which is engineering? But the message, I mean, economics today is also important, so don't feel discouraged if you study economics. But my message is, try to keep up with what's internationally happening, because we are in a global race. And Vietnam wants, depending very much also on global markets, on global technological developments, so you want to be plugged in. And it's not only the country, it's not only the institutions, it's the individual which should be plugged into the international system.
Oh, thank you. So we only have time for one question for each of everyone, so please just keep it up to other people. And Professor Schwab, try to stick to your answer to about 3 minutes, so we have question for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your being here today. And my name is Hui. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at Dongtam Group, a manufacturing company. So you touched upon your speech earlier regarding how artificial intelligence is gonna affect the industrial as well as the manufacturing sector. How do you predict in the next 10 or 20 years being transitioning from the production economy to a knowledge economy will affect the social economic sector or manufacturing sector in the next 10 or 20 years? Thank you.
I mean, the key, I have seen what you are doing. Congratulations, by the way. I think the key is what we said before. It's smart production. Smart production is not only the production process. I think the key is to extend the concept of smart also across the whole supply chain. And if I know that Vietnam wants to become also a manufacturing hub and attract manufacturing investments, I think today what is very important, and I spoke about systems. If you want to be a part of the system, you have to know the other parts of the system very well. And if possible, to influence your, to use your influence across the system, to build really a smart system from the beginning to the end. And I would even say the distribution belongs to the system. So that's my answer to your question.
Thank you. Please, yeah.
I'd like just to follow up the question. My name is Thuy, and I'm a founder of a brand called Cocovi, means coconut and la vie, so life around coconut. So that's what we're doing in agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue.
Okay. So despite the the farmers, they are the main actors in growing food, in keeping the fertility of the land, and also keeping the forest. Their monetary value in the whole supply chain is relatively low compared to other actors, like more knowledgeable actors, like smarter actors, like producers, like retailers or marketeers, right? So for an impact company, like we are an impact first companies. So what does WEF suggest to an impact first company like us? What solutions does WEF have to an impact first company like us to be able to ensure that the farmers are not left behind in the whole process and they play well in the fourth industrial revolution? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a difficult challenge because even in Vietnam, quite a large part of the population is still dependent on agriculture and is active in the agricultural sector. But we also know by having bigger units, by using the latest technologies, and small farmers may not have the financial means to get access to those technologies, we could improve and increase agricultural productivity. So it is a question of social responsibility of a country, on the one hand, to protect the farmers, on the other hand also, of course, it's attractive to increase productivity. I believe that providing even small-scale farmers with the latest technologies, artificial intelligence, we have seen, I mentioned before, we have a center looking just at the use of artificial intelligence in farming, here particularly in India, which has also very small farms. But by providing them with much better knowledge about weather conditions, when they should plant, when they should go out to put the seeds into the soil, and so on, you can increase the productivity. But I think it's how shall I say, it's an educational issue also, to educate the farmers to use those new technologies, because farmers usually are more traditional than the rest of the population. So convincing them, showing them the advantages and how they can profit and earn more money is important. So you have to act not only as a producer, you have to act as a teacher for let's say, your suppliers. That's the advice I could give. I'm not a specialist, but I know practically many countries, particularly industrializing countries, have to face this situation. And the situation is becoming more difficult because in the past, you could absorb the people from the farming sector into the industry sector. But now, with smart production and so on, you need less people, and less people who are not qualified in the manufacturing sector and in the service sector particularly. So this is a big problem for many, many countries, how to ensure the useful employment if you want, on the one hand, to rationalize the agricultural sector, on the other hand, the manufacturing sector becomes smarter, and the artificial intelligence will particularly have an impact on the service sector. And it all comes down to one big issue: reskilling and upskilling. I think we see the professions which we have today will change so much, and it will be a challenge for every country. And I see Vietnam has recognized the issue. How do we reskill and upskill? But particularly, so it's a question. We don't know yet completely what skills we actually need tomorrow very well. So we have to have a very strong flexibility.
Thank you. And round of applause. Thank you. Who's next? Yeah. Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
So I'm Thao. I'm an associate professor of biology from Vietnam National University. I am very, if I have to admit that I'm not as young as people in this stage, but I promise that I have that young spirit that you mentioned. So I'm here because I work with young people all the time. And having been an educator for quite a number of years, I observed and I found out the same thing that you mentioned, that there is a very different mindset of generations of young people. And for these current young generations of students that I work with, they have those which you call that global citizenship mindset. They very have that global thinking, but then they kind of not very focused on their home country. I mean, that's my observation. And of course, everything had the good side and bad side. I was in the side when you asked that what do we think about the younger generation. I was like, yeah, they're better. But, as my older generations, we kind of, very much thinking about Vietnam. That's our priorities. But right now, I don't see that very much. And so what do you think it would be more like a challenge or an opportunity, an advantage of Vietnam to develop our economy, knowledge economy? And as an educator, lecturers, should I try to influence them the way I want them to focus more on our country? Or should I, just go with the flow, be with them, adapt it to them? So, thank you. By the way, thank you so much for your inspirational talk. I take every single word of it. Sorry.
No. First, you mentioned you are a professor for biology.
Yes.
And I think when we talk about the knowledge economy, when we talk about what I prefer to mention, the intelligent age, we usually think of artificial intelligence, we think of quantum computing, of crypto and so on. But actually we underestimate the big changes happening in biology and particularly also in genetics. And I mentioned before, when we look at the future, the intelligence age will bring a fusion of the physical and digital, but also of the biological worlds. And we are already in a situation where you have the first implants, or you can, with the force of your brain, you can translate in your brain waves, as you know, into digital messages. And that offers completely new areas. And I think we will have in the next 5 to 10 years many big surprises in terms of genetic capabilities. And that's, by the way, the reason why countries, before coming here, I was in Singapore, put a lot of emphasis not only to develop the digital industry, but to develop the bio industry. Now, coming back to your question, if you just could, I understood your question, but in order to give a precise answer, if you could just ask me the question again in.
So you mentioned that the young people now have their global mindset, and it's good, and I agree. However, I found out that they prioritize that so much that they're not to try to focus on Vietnam anymore, their home country. So should we take it as the challenge, and should we influence them?
No, well, I didn't understand the question first, because I felt usually it's the other way around, because people have too much a national, particularly today, a national mindset and not anymore a global mindset. If we take the majority of the young people, but what always surprises me when I'm traveling, I usually meet our global shapers, is actually that they are thinking globally and not nationally. But I think it's not either or. We always feel there's a tension between thinking in international, global terms and national terms, because there are national interests and there are global requirements. Let's just take the whole discussion on how we fight climate change. There are national interests. Some countries who have to protect oil production and so on, but there are global requirements which means that we have to do as much as possible to achieve the Paris objectives, which means to decarbonize the world. But I think we have to live up, and we have to have two identities, not a global identity and a national identities. There are certain issues, mainly, for example, in the cultural area, where we have to apply our national identity, and there are other issues where we have global interdependence, where we have to apply our global identity. And I think this is very important for young people to learn, because traditionally we grew up with one identity, and traditionally it was a national identity. Being a European, and I just say how difficult it is for some people now, even in Europe, to, let's say, develop, in addition to the national identity, a European identity. So we have to live with several identities, depending on the issues which we address. There are global issues which need a global identity. There are national issues. We have to be anchored nationally, because if we are not anchored, we lose our roots. We lose our roots.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Big round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ho Hoan from education sector. So thanks for coming here, and I have one small question for you. So global knowledge is increasing really quickly, and as something we learn today maybe cannot use tomorrow. So in your opinion, what Vietnamese student should prepare to compete in the global economy and to compete with those who live, studying, and working in developed countries? Thank you.
Two words: curiosity and lifelong learning, which means you have, even in a small village, when you have mobile connection, you have today access to the best knowledge in the world. So it depends very much on you. I'm very proud. The World Economic Forum, I was participating last week in a ceremony in New York, and I mentioned at the beginning, we have many projects and initiatives where we bring leaders from business and politics together to address specific issues in the world. And one issue which needs public-private cooperation is the access to the internet. Because if people do not have access, they don't have those opportunities of learning. And actually, we say 2.3 billion people have not yet access to the internet, which is not completely true. Because even in remote villages today, even in Africa, you may have mobile connections. So the question is, of course, still the connection, but it's also affordability. Is it affordable by the people? And it's functionality. Do you provide the functions which actually a farmer somewhere in a remote village in a developing country needs? And here, and as I mentioned, education, and as I mentioned before, agricultural advice. So we put on a global level telecommunication companies, governments, financial companies together, and we celebrated last week that through our initiative, which we called Edison Initiative, we were able to bring 1 billion people through manifold projects to the internet, but in a meaningful way, So we have to make sure that, again, the response, that everybody has access. But access is not enough. It means also affordability, and it means functionality.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, then, maybe someone then, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. everyone, and good morning, Professor. My name is Diễn, and I'm the curator of Global Shapers Ho Chi Minh City. Global Shapers, can I see your hand and hear your sound? Thank you so much for being here in my beloved city today. And this is actually the questions originally from one of the very young global shapers in our hub. Yeah, so the question is about sustainability. So recently we can see that in our very vibrant job market in sustainability, we can name, for example, environment, social responsibility, also about like energy. And moving forward, we also have the section in, for example, let's say semiconductor chip industry. We also have the AI and so on that are expected to be the global advancement. So my question, our hub questions would be, what do you, in your opinion, what do you think is the next sustainability segment or the field? Is it the field, the industry, or the sector that will be the world development trend and global concern that like our youth can focus on and somehow prepare ourselves for be the best role to somehow anticipate in those changes? Yes.
Thank you. Can I ask you, because we ask every Global Shapers community around the world, what is the project they are engaged with? So what is the project of the Ho Chi Minh Global Shapers?
Thank you so much for the question, and I'm very proud to share the project. So we have the project about education to uplift the skills of the young students and prepare themselves for the best for their career development in the future for the past few years. And right now we're focusing on the environment sustainability, where we plan to plant more trees, yes, and like to have the very social impact and raise awareness in the young community. But of course, after this, I think our hub will have more ideas and like more passionate attitude to develop more social impact projects. Yes.
Congratulations, Global Shapers. First, I think when we started the engagement of the young generation, we started with people between 30 and 40. And actually, 25 years ago, it was very difficult to find already leaders below the age of 40. Today, it's much easier. I think people get into responsible positions earlier. So we created the Global Shapers. But I'm very proud of two things, that the Global Shapers are very much engaged into coaching activities for even the younger generation. And what you are doing to coach them particularly in terms of awareness creation for a green economy. And when I prepared myself for this visit, I was very much impressed how, let's say, the green dimension is integrated into the economic political vision of this country and what is done in this respect. We haven't talked too much about environment, but again, when we talk about environment, we should not talk about only climate change. The World Economic Forum is very much involved. One of our initiatives is, for example, to coordinate global efforts of governments and businesses to restore, conserve, and plant 1 trillion trees until 2030. Another project which we have, particularly also with some ASEAN countries, is to remove plastics from our daily use and also plastics from the seas. So congratulations for your work.
Thank you so much. Vinh. Thank you.
Hello, Professor, and hello, everyone. So I'm Vinh. I'm an MBA student at TP.HCM University, and currently I'm work at Green Communication and Business Assistant. So my question for you regarding to the economic gap of country in the world. So, from your perspective, how do you think young leaders, talented young leaders, can reduce that gap and contribute to develop the sustainable development of the economic of the country? And do you have any suggestions for the young generation out there and beyond TP.HCM University individual to develop their potential to the better? Yeah.
We first have to ask ourselves who will be the winners in the economy of tomorrow. And the winners will be those who really adapt very fast the new technologies of the fourth industrial revolution. Because let's not forget, when I go back to the earlier industrial revolutions, those were technologies which you added to the existing economy. If you look at the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, they are so-called platform technologies, system technologies, which means they change the whole system. And this means those who miss the transition into this new type of intelligence, knowledge economy, they will be the losers of tomorrow. But at the same time, we also have to be aware that we have to transform our economies into green economies. And it's not just because we have an environmental consciousness. I think it's for competitive reasons. Just look at to be a good means to reduce CO2 emissions, to reduce pollution. But actually today we see electric vehicles are less expensive to produce. I mean, you see now the tensions between China and Europe and the United States. But the fact is, it's cheaper to produce an electric vehicle, a green vehicle, compared to a traditional vehicle. And we will see the green dimension will also reduce cost. And I think we should come to a completely new definition in our relationship with nature. We exploited nature. We have seen nature as a resource. For example, water as a resource. We have to have a different mindset. Those natural resources are assets and not resources. And what do you do with assets? You cultivate them. You try to increase your asset because it gives you a much stronger positioning. So those countries which increase their natural assets will also belong to the winners of tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Hi, Professor. I read both of your books before in school, and so I'm very honored to finally meet you in person. I'm Chi. I'm CEO of ZaloPay. We are a fintech company in Vietnam that provide payment and financial service products to over 20% of Vietnamese adult population. Yeah. But my question to
I mentioned you, by the way, in my speech. So
Thank you. Very honored. But my question for you today is actually on climate change. It is top of mind for everyone, but for us as a coastal country, I think it will especially impact us. Industrialization, brings a lot of opportunities, but it also has its environmental costs. But Vietnam is a developing country. We're still hoping to get that economic growth. So my question to you is, do you have any advice on how we should think about achieving that growth while minimizing the impact on the environment? What specific corporate culture or technology would you advise us to look at?
I think you use the right word by saying corporate culture. It has to be integrated into corporate culture. And I mentioned before, if you look long term, it's probably not a cost. It's a competitive advantage. Look, for example, now at trade patterns. The European Union, for example, it's just postponed by 1 year, but you will have to pay, if you import into the European Union in a year from now, starting 26, you will have to pay a certain duty if in your supply chain you destroy forests, or if you don't have a price attached to CO2, which, let's say, is in line with environmental responsibility. And I think this will become more common. And one of the policies we are working on, we are in the World Economic Forum, and I had discussion with leaders last week actually, is how do we create globally a coordinated CO2 market. So we still look at preserving nature, I'm repeating myself, as a cost. And short term, it may be a cost. But if you invest into a new technology, you also invest, you have a cost. And I think investing into the environment is like investing into your production. At the end, it provides you with a competitive advantage. And I think, look at all, if it takes this year, the World Economic Forum is very much engaged in preparing COP29. If you look at the global awareness that we really should take environmental responsibility much more serious. If we look at the flooding, if we look at we see now the consequences of neglecting, taking care of nature. And the costs afterwards to repair the damage are much higher compared to prevent the damage. And I think this will become more and more a general, let's say, a general policy. At least, you see, I'm an optimist. I hope so. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I guess we have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, right, and I have to call it off now because we have time limit. So I guess according to Professor Klaus Schwab have said, we're coming to, let's say, intelligent revolution. And we need not only passion in what we do, but also compassion. Not just learning, but also unlearn and relearn with a systematic thinking and forward-looking mindset. We can tackle any problem in the future. and the future are better off with the young generation. So thank you again so much. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I would like to invite everyone to stand on stage for a group photo together. Group photo together. I would like to invite the following distinguished guests on stage for a group photo. His Excellency Mr. Phan Văn Mãi, Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee. Mr. Võ Văn Hoang, Mr. Võ Văn Hoang, Vice Chairman of Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee. Madame Hedo Schwab, Chairperson and Co-founder Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship. The spouse of our professor, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome on stage Head of Regional Agenda Asia Pacific, Member of Executive Committee World Economic Forum, Mr. Ju Ok Lee. Xin trân trọng kính mời anh Trần Phước Anh, Mr. Trần Phước Anh, Director General of Ho Chi Minh City Department of Foreign Affairs. Trân trọng kính mời Chủ tịch của Tập đoàn Nguyễn Hoàng, Mr. Hoàng Quốc Việt, Chairman of Nguyễn Hoàng Group. Please welcome on stage Head of Business Engagement Asia Pacific, World Economic Forum, Ms. Clara Chung. Please welcome on stage Deputy Head, Regional Agenda Asia Pacific, World Economic Forum, Mr. Minh Chom Prasop. Xin một tràng pháo tay được không ạ? Để chào đón các vị khách quý của chúng ta. Please welcome on stage Executive Assistant to the Chairman, Ms. Suzanne Glassmere. Round of applause, please. Xin chào pháo tay để chào đón các vị khách quý của chúng ta lên sân khấu cho một tấm hình chung kỷ niệm. And please welcome on stage Consul General of Switzerland in Ho Chi Minh City and his spouse, Mr. Werner Badu. And last but not least, please welcome Secretary of the Party Committee and President of Hoa Trang University, Dr. Võ Thị Ngọc Thúy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now is a group photo with our Professor Klaus Schwab and his spouse and our delegate of Ho Chi Minh City and distinguished guests, as well as representative from the young generation of Ho Chi Minh City, ladies and gentlemen. So may I have another round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. The show is still going on. Please remain on your seat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Klaus Schwab. Thank you, guests. Please return to your seat. Thank you. Chúng tôi kính mời quý vị khách quý chúng ta cùng quay trở lại chỗ ngồi để bắt đầu tiếp tục chương trình ạ. Xin mời tất cả quý vị khách chúng ta ổn định chỗ ngồi. Chương trình vẫn còn tiếp tục ạ. Thank you so much. I'd like to invite Professor Klaus Schwab stay on stage again to receive some surprise and great present from the Hoa Trang University.
Yeah, the token of appreciation from Hoa Sen University, everybody. This is all, yeah, this is a word from our students. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen. Now take a photo from Hoa Sen University with this beautiful present. It's like express our gratitude to Professor Schwab for this inspiring thought. Thank you so much. And now we would like to invite our guest of honor on stage again for another group of photo with our beloved students from Hoa Sen University. Chúng tôi trân trọng kính mời các vị lãnh đạo sở ban ngành sẽ lên sân khấu cho đợt thứ hai này để chụp hình lưu niệm cùng với vị khách mời đặc biệt của chúng ta và các em sinh viên. Trân trọng kính mời tất cả quý vị lãnh đạo sở ban ngành chúng ta lên sân khấu, và đây sẽ là một tấm hình chung kỷ niệm cùng với ban tổ chức là Đại học Hoa Sen và các thành viên cũng như là các em sinh viên. Một tấm hình rất đẹp, nhiều kỷ niệm của ngày hôm nay với tất cả các thành viên của ban tổ chức Đại học Hoa Sen, các em sinh viên, các quý vị quan khách quý, các lãnh đạo sở ban ngành đã có mặt ở đây ngày hôm nay trong sự kiện đặc biệt này với sự có mặt của giáo sư Klaus Schwab, nhà sáng lập và chủ tịch của Diễn đàn Kinh tế Thế giới. And now it's witnessing a group photo with everybody from Hoa Sen University and the leaders from Ho Chi Minh City agencies with our distinguished guests of honors. Xin quý vị một tràng tay thật lớn được không ạ? Và chúng tôi cũng xin quý vị một tràng tay thật lớn để tiễn vị khách quý của chúng ta để kết thúc chương trình ngày hôm nay cho lịch trình tiếp theo của giáo sư Klaus Schwab. Mời các bạn sinh viên chúng ta có thể đứng lên và cho nhiều tràng pháo tay thật lớn để chào tạm biệt giáo sư Klaus Schwab nhân ngày hôm nay ạ. Chúng ta xin vỗ tay thật lớn và dài để chúng ta chào tạm biệt giáo sư Klaus Schwab cho chương trình của ngày hôm nay. We now say a big farewell to Professor Klaus Schwab and his family. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Vâng, và những hình ảnh vừa rồi cũng đã khép lại chương trình của sáng ngày hôm nay. Một lần nữa trân trọng cảm ơn tất cả quý vị quan khách đã dành thời gian để đến với chúng tôi trong sự kiện đặc biệt chào đón giáo sư Klaus Schwab của Diễn đàn Kinh tế Thế giới. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's concluding our event right now. Thank you so much for coming and appreciate your presence on a beautiful Sunday.